everything I expected to happen in 2024, Pomu Rainpuff's graduation is not on that list. But now having thought about it for a bit, I do think it's a genuine good thing that she is. So on January 5th, Nijisanji put out a notice that Pomu will be graduating on the 20th. The reason her graduation is such a big deal is because she is part of Lazulite, the first wave of NijisanjiEN. So essentially, she is one of the founding members of the entire English branch. Even if you're not very familiar with Lazulite or don't really watch them, there's no denying of the impact they have had on the western side of VTubing, but also on Nijisanji in general. Like, if it wasn't for them coming in with the bang and working as hard as they have, Nijisanji as we know it wouldn't have been a thing. Like, a lot of us acknowledge that Luxium has played a big part in male VTubing and also VTubing in general to like really boom as much as it did. But if it wasn't for Lazulite, Luxium wouldn't have stood a chance. I doubt Luxium would have even existed because male VTubing was just like a big risk. They absolutely paved the way, and now one of them is retiring from their spot as a Nijisanji Liver. And of course, it absolutely sucks because we have to say goodbye to a really talented creator, at least in the way that we know or in a place that we're familiar with, among people that we're familiar with. But as Pomu herself is saying here, she is going to hit the road. She is going to take another path, and whether it might be continuing VTubing on the new alias or changing directions completely, leaving content creation in general, for her personally, it's the next chapter, and that's amazing for her. And I'm happy that she has been able to take that step, that she finds herself in a position that she can do that. Because I can also imagine that if you are such a big deal, that you are such a prominent figure, that you feel obliged to stay in the position that you're in, that you have to continue because, well, this is where I should be and I can't just leave, right? So I'm happy that she is able to take that step, and from the way I've seen her talk and everyone else like note things, this seems to be a friendly split. And also timing wise, her 3-year anniversary is in May, and usually livers join a few months in advance before actually debuting. It might just be that her contract ran out and decided to not renew. And another way I can tell that it's an amicable split is because Nijisanji pulled this into official notice. As a member of Lazulite, the first debut unit in NijisanjiEN history, Pomu debuted in May 2021, and she always took the lead and pushed forward NijisanjiEN brand. For over 2 years, her cuteness and passion for otaku contents attracted and pomuficated fans from all over the world. We wish her the best on her next journey, and we cannot thank her enough for all her hard work and achievements as a NijisanjiEN liver. Like, that to me screams genuine gratitude and respect to her as a liver. And obviously we don't know all the details, but that's not really relevant, especially not to the point I'm trying to make. So you see, a lot of people have been worried in the last year that VTubing might be collapsing, that there might be something happening, that the bubble has popped and everything. And to be fair, with all the major people graduating last year, I did get worried as well. And there was just also a lot happening in general, a lot of smaller agencies collapsing, or things came out of people being awful people and being used and whatnot. But over time, I've been able to think about it, and especially now Pomu announced her retirement from Nijisanji, I think it might be the complete opposite. I think that VTubing in general is stabilizing and it's growing more healthy and becoming more of an industry. Because before, we all called it the VTuber community. And that was true to a certain degree for a while because there weren't that many VTubers around. There were enough of them that most of them knew each other and it was genuinely a community. But now there are so many VTubers around. There are so many debuting every week. And it's impossible to keep up. Most of them don't know each other and most of them don't want to know each other because they're their own thing. They just use VTubing as a medium, which, to be fair, it always was. But because of its growth, it got to a new meaning. And with more and more VTuber companies and agencies popping up, but also other talent agencies picking up VTubers, the whole thing is becoming more of an industry and stabilizing as one as well. And how that is related to Pomu Rainpuff's graduation is that in content creation time, 2-3 years is a long time. There are people that start, blow up, and have their entire career and then fade into nothingness in that time. So a lot can change in that time. But also, people grow. There's a lot that's happening. and they might move on to new things in their life. Like there are jobs that you start and you can stay there for decades. You can basically work there until you retire and work your way up. But there are also jobs that you just stay for a few years. You get the experience and then you move on to the next thing you want to try out, or you want to do what you're doing but in a different way, which is what happens to a lot of agency VTubers, that they return as an independent creator so they can do whatever they want without the restrictions of a contract. In that regard, it is literally a matter of time before the old guard, like the people that have been around for years, and in Pomu's case it's almost 3, but there are also people like Iron Mouse that have been around for 6, that they start to retire or decide to leave the internet spheres. And that's normal, that's healthy, that happens everywhere. Like not all actors stay around in acting for decades for the rest of their life. Some people just retire and do whatever they want with the rest of their lives. So the fact that it is possible for these people to retire, to move on to something else, and VTubing as a whole not collapsing like everyone is always afraid it will, that's a sign of health. But also it's a good thing that we see people leaving, see people be at the end of their own cycle, so a new cycle can start. So new people can come in and take that spot, take that vacancy. Like if you see VTubing as like a forest, you have big trees, you have small trees, and obviously the big trees will keep out the sunlight from the smaller ones. But once one of the bigger trees is removed, there's so much more sunlight to grow around, and all of these smaller trees, they can grow with a lot more ease. And that's literally what's happening within VTubers and general content creators as well. There's so many big creators that just literally cast a shadow, which makes it harder for other people to grow, because most of us are familiar with them because they've just been around for so long, or it's just a lot easier to be a fan of a big creator because everyone likes them and they've proven to be a good creator. It's also easier to find them because they're so big, they have so many numbers, they have so many people following them. And like, yes, content creation in general is very saturated currently, and especially after the pandemic, it became a lot worse because everyone got bored, or they realized like, hey, this creator thing is something I want to try, but it does make it harder for everyone to grow. So to see that there is a genuine cycle going on where old people are able to leave without things falling apart, and new people to come in and take their place and keep everything going without taking away of everything those other people have done, that the old guard has achieved and how they paved the way. That's really good. And like, this effect is not just limited to Pomu. She is just one of the many that are just giants among men that have proven themselves and will no doubt, whatever they choose to do, succeed in the next chapter. And while I did allude to some kind of a gap being left behind after Pomu is really gone, it doesn't mean that there will be someone tomorrow that will blow up out of nowhere and take that gap. It will not mean that someone in EN will become the next Pomu. It will just mean that there is suddenly room for something else, or more of what Pomu offered, but offered by other people. And all of that will happen without taking away from everything that Pomu has done and how hard she has worked to earn that spot for herself. Because it's not going to be one person to fill it up. It will be many people that might have been inspired by Pomu herself to become a VTuber, to join Nijisanji, to give things a try. And in return, those people will inspire new people to do the same. And by the time these people are going to be cycled out, the people they inspired will be there to take up the space they left behind. It's a way of legacy that we have not really seen in VTubing because the industry, the community, everything is still so young. Like, content creation overall is still super young. Like, acting, making music and everything has been around for so long. And even in like the modern way, we're still talking about at least 10 times the amount of time, minimum, compared to online content creation. And VTubing has only been really like a thing for the last 2, 3, maybe 4 to 5 years. It's literally still in its infancy. And for a while, a lot of people were like afraid that it was just gonna die off, that the hype would wear out, and that in the next year or two, that VTubing will completely ceasing to exist. But it's not going anywhere. Yes, people are leaving and more people are joining every day. And the next Pomu Rainpuff might debut tomorrow. We just don't know yet. And even though content creation is so young and 3 years in content creation time is very long, There might be people that will stick around until they're literally of retirement age. That they can keep going until they're as old as most people will quit their normal jobs. We don't know yet because we haven't seen it yet. But it doesn't take away that without people like Pomu, things wouldn't be as they are today. There was a lot of hard work required, and they all did it for us to thrive as we are today. And while, yeah, it does really suck for people like Pomu to be graduating and to be leaving, and we have to say goodbye to them, it's also a really good thing. And I'm happy that it's happening, because it allows for the future to start happening. So in the end, this might be goodbye to Pomu, but it's not a goodbye to everything she has done and everything she achieved and every tidal wave that she has created with the small ripples when she just started. And as she so eloquently put herself, I am Pomu. We're all Pomu. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.